I think Patrick's on mute. Patrick, if you're talking, are you kicking us off?
I was on mute. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
I have one question for you, Jen, Philip. Do you know how to move the recorder box? It's right in the middle of my screen.
Sorry, I was on mute. Are you working in a 2-screen environment right now?
Oh, that's a good idea.
If you are, you can just drag it to the other screen. It won't affect, I don't think it's going to affect what people are going to see. I'm going to mute myself again while you and Jen are talking.
Are we ready, Patrick?
We are ready.
Okay. Welcome. Good morning, everyone. And we just wanted to give you guys an update on where we are with the training system we're putting together for our grantees and others. Next slide, please. We wanted to give you a background where this came from. First of all, the I Live Apprenticeship Committee has been asking for quality and consistency of messaging among all our grantees and then among everyone in general when it comes to Apprenticeship Illinois. But especially with our grantees, they have this concerns that everybody's just doing their own thing and there's not a real connection. And so last year when we had our new grantees, our 10 pilots, navigators, and intermediaries, we had a kickoff meeting with them, and that was kind of their training. And then we had quarterly meetings with them also. Again, that was not enough, quote, training, even though we gave them tons of resources during that kickoff meeting. We thought we armed them with enough information that they needed to do their job well. And then at the end of the year, like in December when we met with them again at our quarterly meeting, they happened to bring up stuff. It would be nice if we had something like this. And we're like, we gave that to you back in January. And so there was a lot of disconnect. It was just like too much information, not knowing how to cull through it and how to actually use it for themselves. So we asked our grantees, what would you have liked to have known at the beginning to do your job better? And then, so they gave us a lot of information, some great feedback. We put that back to the Systems and Support Work Group and said, this is what we're thinking of putting together for training for our new grantees that are coming in. What all do you think they should also know for this quality and consistency of messaging? And so we're putting together, and so we thought, okay, we're going to put together a training and procedures manual, and we'll do it with a few face-to-face workshops rather than just one day of kickoff meeting. Well, COVID-19 happened, and we realized we're not going to be able to have these face-to-face workshops with them. But it was actually a good thing because it made us think even further down the line, thinking long-term. And because a lot of our grantees, not all of them, but some of them will be hiring some people along the way. So even if we had those workshops, they may miss the people who are critical to the grant and doing the job may miss it. They may only get some handouts and all. So we thought, you know what, we're going to put together a training system for the new grantees and put it together like modules. Now, this is something we had talked about. The Systems and Support Work Group had kind of even put this on their work plan, and then it actually dropped off because they just thought it would never happen. So that's where we were with it, that we had all this information. Now we're going to put it into training modules and put it into training where they can take at their own time frame, that we know that they actually did it and that we could see that they've done it and they've been tested on it, and they kind of get a certificate at the end. So next slide, please. So we came up with all these topics. Like I said, we got it from the grantees. We worked with the Systems and Support Work Group, and all of the training that we wanted to put together came out to have, I think there were like 10 training sessions in all. You know, some of them actually broken out into a couple of them, like A through B or A through F, or some of them. And we're like, well, this is just way too much to require all of this for all of the grantees because they still have to do their job, you know. But we still want to certify them, quote, certify them, make sure they go through this, the training that they need to go through to do the job right. So we decided that, if you can see the screen, the first 5 sessions, they're green, we've decided these will be the sessions that that all of the key stakeholders in that grant have to go through these trainings to be certified, so that then we know that they're all using the same language. They have the big picture of what's going on. And we wanted to leverage resources that are already there. So if you see session 1 is Foundations of Registered Apprenticeship. These were created at the end of last year by Mayor for DOL about different parts of Registered Apprenticeship Program. Now, I've already had Lee Reese down in EDR 9 go through these. He went through that, and even though he's considered one of our best navigators, he went through that quote session 1 we haven't put together in a module. I had just told him which ones they were, and he went through them. He's like, man, I wish I had known this stuff already. I wish, we'd had this. So even he felt like it was really helpful to him. And so what we're doing is we're working with different people to put together the module. So like Apprenticeship Illinois Overview, that's session 2. That's going to be a combination of quite a, in fact, let's go to the next slide, Jen, so I can show you the content here. So session 1, we're leveraging already existing videos. Session 2, Apprenticeship Illinois Overview. You'll see that we're going to talk about the apprenticeship committee and the work groups, but then we'll look at the 5 core elements of apprenticeship, the Apprenticeship Illinois framework, which talks about youth apprenticeship, pre-apprenticeship, non-registered apprenticeship, and registered apprenticeship, and go through those key elements. Talk about the flexibility of apprenticeship, how some can be competency-based, time-based, or hybrid, or it could be front-loaded or segmented. The training can be at different times. So there's all these different things, as well as like dispelling myths and misconceptions. But we're going to bring in people to do that. So we're going to have Morgan Diamond and Jim Nelson and Manny Rodriguez and Paul Thompson and Patrick and I on this as well, that we're going to record these things in little chunks at a time. So we may record it all at once, but then it's chunked up so people can go through it. And if they need to, they only have 10 minutes, they can watch 10 minutes, they can leave, they can come, it's save their progress, they can come back and finish that session. So as you see, we're requiring the 5 sessions. If you don't mind going back one more, Jen, just going back a slide. The green ones are required by all our grantees, all the key stakeholders. But then the other sessions is only for people who actually need it. So those who are going to be using the case management system and the tracking the apprentices, only those that are the grantees that are using that, the person with the grantee that is using that system would have to go through that. Or the WIO eligibility, only those who are going to be certifying WIO eligibility go through that. So there's different pieces for different roles within the grantee. So that's the background. And now who's putting all of this together for us is actually Jen Phillips. So we're putting some content together, but she's actually creating these sessions for us. So Jen.
Thanks, everybody. Let me get back into the PowerPoint and get to the right side. So some of you guys on the call have been part of the conversation about the Illinois Coursera partnership. And in some ways, a learning management system is like Coursera, and we're just building one that's kind of like a Coursera Lite. And I do want to mention that my boss, Amy Julian, from the Illinois Center for Specialized Professional Support, is also on the line, because it was her instigation to create this learning management system for professional development for WIOA. And because it's in development, we just the worlds kind of collided in the right way to say, hey, in this COVID environment, just as Jen was saying, that the ability to have face-to-face training will be limited at best. How can we onboard a new set of apprenticeship expansion grantees in a way that's really robust? And so that's sort of where the marriage came in. Amy's on the line if there are any questions that come up. So just kind of what is a learning management system? So it's a web-based system to implement training or learning that unifies a set of learning standards. It allows you to put all of those learning materials in one place. Trainees can access these learning materials anywhere, anytime, on mobile devices or computers or tablets. You can, say you've got 10 minutes and you want to kind of get through some of it, you can do that, and you can save and go back and refer to that material at any time. It gives people like Jen the ability to create these online syllabi for various training modules that are complete with not just sort of the slides, but also videos and supplemental readings and links to other resources and things of that nature. The way that we're setting this up, it kind of sets up learning paths or sequences of trainings to accomplish a certain goal. And in this case, it's being ready for really high quality implementation across a certain group of grantees. The program enables us to add questions and quizzes throughout the training sessions to test for understanding and knowledge. It allows administrators to update the course content at any time. So whether that's Jen Foyle or myself, we can refresh and update if there are new things that come up. That course content can be refreshed very, very easily. And finally, it allows administrators to invite those grantees. So Jen and Patrick have a CSV file, right, with all the emails of the new crop of grantees, and we can blast out a message to them that says, hey, these training modules are ready. Here's what's expected of you. And it also allows Jen and Patrick to be able to follow and track progress. So for instance, if I go back a couple slides, these green ones that Jen just talked about, there's going to be an expectation that those grantees do complete those sessions before some of the live conversations happen. So, just to kind of summarize again, like what's the purpose of doing this for Apprenticeship Illinois grantees? It's about high quality, consistent messaging and an onboarding process that really will promote successful implementation and consistency. It's tailored to a COVID-19 environment, whether we pull out of this or whether we're kind of in an up and down over the next couple months. It's ready. It's kind of ready-made for some of that uncertainty. It allows for learning continuously as staff may change. One of the things that Jen and Patrick have shared over the last couple months is that staff come and go from some of the different grantee organizations. So this is something that is going to have a home, and people could do it whether there's turnover or not. And finally, it's a one-stop place for all the relevant materials where grantees can come back and find information. So where is this going to live? It will be, we've already had conversations with David Garvey from Illinois WorkNet, the fact that this will live probably in 2 different places. There'll be a training portal under the Apprenticeship, Intermediary, and Navigator little button that you see kind of where I'm circling right now. And we'll probably put it also under resources. Some of the sessions might be available and useful to other non-grantee audiences, so such as like the foundations for apprenticeship, but then obviously the ones that would be public facing would not include like WIOA eligibility. So this is where I'm going to show a couple different screenshots of what the system looks like and sort of how to navigate through it. So as I mentioned, the Center for Specialized Professional Support, Amy, is working with a company that's in Bloomington Normal to develop this professional development portal for WIOA for the purpose of professional development like this. And the apprenticeship training program will live on this system. This is what the interface looks like and the little sign up, how to sign up. So some of the features that are in progress, like literally as we speak, and it's why I'm not doing a live demo today, is that the Apprenticeship Illinois courses will have its own landing page. This is an example from another company, but there'll be a drop-down menu. So if you think about Jen's syllabus right here, those will be courses that will be in a drop-down menu in here. We have completed and built the first one, so Foundations for Registered Apprenticeship is functional and working, and Jen and Patrick have kind of given it a test run. So some of the features that will be really useful here is, as I mentioned, you can send out the invitation to the grantees. You can put the link on Illinois WorkNet under the Apprenticeship Illinois page, and you can track who's taking these courses. So this slide is essentially sort of showing like the architecture of the course. So if you think back, and I'm sorry, I'm not hoping I'm not making anyone dizzy, but if you think right up here, the session 1, the foundations for registered apprenticeship, this is sort of all the content that that Jen has kind of bundled together. And this is what it's going to look like to a user. Oops, sorry, I went ahead. So on the left-hand side, it kind of has the slides with the check for understanding questions, and you kind of click through. So there's video content that's enabled, both using Vimeo and using Adobe Presenter. So as Jen mentioned in her opening, Mayor and Mayor has developed some of this information. So we were able to embed their videos and their slides and the audio that people can click through. And then here's a couple examples of like check for understanding questions. So the first module has 13 of them. Check for understanding which of these is not one of the benefits to business of apprenticeships. The answer is the lifetime employment guarantee. Which of these is not a type of registered apprenticeship program? It's the requirement based. But these are kind of a sense of what kind of questions are built in. This is a kind of a picture of the live links, right? The links for the actual slides. So if you want to have a copy for yourself of what Mayor and Mayor did in Adobe Presenter, here are the links for those. And then wanted to give the other additional readings about business engagement and apprenticeship. This is just a picture of how like what it's going to look like to an administrator. So Jen will have the ability to manage this landing page with my help and the course content and be able to track progress. There's just another picture of sort of the user like the management of here's a user, which courses that person's enrolled in, sort of progress to date. Jen and Patrick will be able to see of their 25 grantees who's actually completed these modules before they have a live webinar. And finally, their badges and certificates that are available. We're in the process of customizing those so that they have the Apprenticeship Illinois logo on them and say the right things, but those are all in development. Finally, and Jen, should I pass the baton back to you for these last couple slides?
Or yeah, we could do them together. Just implementing this, we're working with the subject matter experts to help develop the content. So what I'm doing is giving people a skeleton PowerPoint to work with. So I'm trying to put as much content as I can so that we don't overburden them. And then they can help modify it. And then also we're going to work with them on any things that should be added to that PowerPoint or taken out or the sequence of it. And then we're going to work with them on actually recording these sessions. So Jennifer Phillips will be the one that helps record it. We'll probably go through a run through first and then we'll record it. So there's still a lot of work left, even after it's recorded, then Jen Phillips will go back and edit it and load it into the learning management system. We're testing this, so we're learning as we're going. So we have added and modified and edited our syllabus and the content so much as we learn more. So as as we learn better, we're going to do better. So if there's things that they need to know, we could add to it or even take something out and then replace it later. So the benefit of all of this is that it's not set in stone. We can learn and grow, and these can grow as well.
So this is, just sort of wrapping up, the reasons and the rationale for this is that, there's the ability to leave, come and go, and save your progress. It's the beauty of having live webinars plus the asynchronous learning really promotes this kind of sense of a community of learning amongst the grantees. We're trying not to sink the ship here with people. We're trying to have small digestible chunks of this information that people can really absorb quickly and learn more thoroughly. The quizzes and the questions mean that people just have to stay on their toes, right? Like they're not going to get kicked out or lose their grant if they don't answer the questions correctly, but it kind of keeps them on their toes as they're learning. Onboarding in this way, the hypothesis is that it could lead to really consistent, successful implementation if everybody's kind of starting in a really strong place from the get-go. Sorry, Jen, I just realized that the kickoff meeting, the kickoff meeting is coming up. I'm not sure if June 19th is actually the date anymore. And that the first couple modules will be ready by next week. Jen, did you want to talk about other uses for the?
Yeah, or Patrick can. We were seeing that.
So the kickoff meeting is still scheduled for the 19th, this Friday, to talk just as an introduction to grantees. And, as we've worked through this, we're kind of the guinea pig for everyone. But, as we talked about this, we thought, it's very applicable to other sources. So individuals that just, in business development that want to know about the apprenticeship program, or even our own group, when we're onboarding, I think this could has the opportunity to make it so much more efficient for somebody that wants to onboard, and it's not a one-shot deal for them. For those folks that maybe have a chance to watch this and have some thoughts and then have some questions from an employer, you can go back to these questions and you can revisit the sessions because they're going to be shorter, they're going to be manageable. It's not going to take staff time to revisit it. Should things change, we can update those recordings. We can make sure that only the latest is on the system. And so there's a lot of uses other than just for training the grantee through this process.
So are there any questions?
I have a sort of an unrelated question, but when you're thinking about that eligibility module, I mean, certainly I think that could have some usefulness for the other grantees for other programs. And then I'm also thinking, how does that fit into the Workforce Professional Development Academy that we're doing? So just kind of throwing that out for, folks to think about as we move forward with this build out of this professional development system, and particularly as you're talking about, these sessions can be accessed by others. So I don't know.
Lisa? Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit. This is Amy Julian. I can speak to that a little bit. So any of the sessions, like let's say they're, for example, your eligibility, one of the updates that we're doing, and this update, again, this system was first designed just for the IWIB, and now we're branching out into the Illinois Workforce Academy, and then another college, as we're calling them, another college will be for apprenticeship, but any of the courses can be duplicated and shown in any of the other colleges. So with minimal, just kind of cut and paste kind of thing. And so if we wanted to take an eligibility session that was in apprenticeship and you felt that it was applicable to the IWA, we can paste it over there or copy it over there, and then that same content will be there. One of the things that we've set up for this and for the other ones as well is to show progress, and I know Jennifer spoke to that, the progress of individuals going through, so we are able to allow and provide certificates and such. But yeah, we're trying to build in as much flexibility while also meeting the needs of the system.
And this is Jen Phillips. Jen Foyle, I don't know if you wanted to share the longer course content that you're building, but there's a module or a session that will be on grant management that probably could be considered broadly applicable for other grantees into other areas, and the same obviously for the WIOA eligibility. And we could, because we're like just at the building phases, I just talked to Mike Baker last week about this. We could try and build them in such a way that they're versatile.
And also, Lisa, on the module for eligibility, it will have multiple components because eligibility is so detailed. You know, obviously, it's not going to be in an hour-long presentation. So we're going to do it. We're going to do it in such a way that it's, you know, just like you get your Excel training. There's Excel for beginners, intermediate, and advanced. And so as you move through these modules, you will gain information, and it'll be applicable to those people that, you know, need to use it on a regular basis, and then there'll just be general. Some of the grantees that we have are actual local workforce areas, so they may only need the general information on eligibility. They may already possess some of that, and so they don't need to go through all of it. Other grantees, they're definitely going to need to go through 1, 2, and 3, which is going to be a lengthier process, but it has so much flexibility.
Sure. Well, I can even see this being helpful just as, you know, we're onboarding new career planners, especially that eligibility piece, you know, rather than sending Jim or whoever, you know, Jim out to do on-site training. It seems like this could be a way to do something more of a hybrid.
Yeah, it was a coming together of a perfect storm. I mean, it all happened.
Oh, yeah.
You know, a lot of this was driven by the COVID-19 issues. We didn't really have any choice about, you know, making these changes were kind of forced on us.
Yeah, no, I think this is very exciting. I love it. I think it's great. I think you guys did an incredible job. I love it.
Hey, this is Sheila. I'm kind of listening in for the trade side because Susan can't today. But I have a question. Can we go back to like slide 3 and 4? I just want to make sure that we have something correct in our minds here.
I was on mute, yes. I just closed it. Let me reopen it.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I just had a question on one of the dates on there because it like has a syllabus, and I think there was a date on the syllabus that doesn't match up on the other chart.
And that could be true because literally we're changing this all like every day.
And also,
Let me do this screen share. Here we go.
Also, one.
Can you guys see the screen?
Yep.
Okay, and what slide? Sheila,
Okay, that slide there shows session 2, the overview on July 2nd. But I think the next slide shows
hold on 1 second.
June 26th.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Session 2, if you notice that it says complete by date on this particular slide. So this is the syllabus for the for the grantees that we're asking them, if you can, please complete by July 2nd. But if you go to the next slide, Jen, this is our internal document where we want to record it by June 26th, so it's out there available for them for a whole week to take at their own.
Okay. So then I misunderstood that. So.
And no, I'm sorry I didn't explain that.
That's okay. I did notice when you, on this chart later, somebody had up on session 5, DCEO is spelled incorrectly on the first line. I think it's got D.
Okay, thank you.
I guess, Patrick, are you contacting Susan about what we should cover in the trade presentation?
I missed what you said, Sheila.
Are you going to be contacting Susan about what she's going to be presenting for this session 2 for the overview?
Yeah, we're going to work with each content expert on what we need to, what we need to contain in each of the modules. Now, if you guys want to build out a module that has more detail, we have the flexibility. We can always add in more. But we wanted to just give them a general overview of what trade, serving a dislocated worker, and how that could be, talk about how we work with work-based learning and what opportunities there are, so that our grantees have exposure to a wide variety of opportunities. But we can add and we can do more things with this. And by the way, we've recorded this whole introduction here, so that Susan, although she wasn't able to participate, will be able to see it as well.
Okay.
This is Annie. Nice work. This looks great. I'm just, for the non-grantee audience, and I'm specifically thinking about manpower. And I
Can
see this
somebody
as
mute?
being really,
Excuse me, Annie. Can everybody mute except for Annie, because we're getting a lot of feedback?
thank you. So I was just saying, really nice job. This looks great. And I see this as being a nice supplement to the work that you guys have already done with the manpower planners. And in terms of like non-grantee audiences, I'm just curious, the communication, like with internal staff who would want to take advantage of this, how will that work, and how do we get them involved?
So Annie, this is Jennifer Phillips. Were you thinking about it for a specific module, or were you thinking about trying to build something for training for internal purposes?
Well, I was thinking about specifically the foundation and the Illinois, the Apprenticeship Illinois overview. A lot of our staff may in the future be, monitoring apprenticeship grants. And they've had an introduction from Jennifer Foyle and Patrick through the manpower planner orientation that we've done. But I can definitely see this as being a supplement to that, especially for new folks, and just getting a better and basic understanding of apprenticeships and, what our goals are here in Illinois. So just really want to get them, the new staff, an ability to begin participating as soon as possible. That works.
And I think, Patrick, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're any DCEO staff or even partner staff could take any of those modules. I have the slide up right now. That's the Apprenticeship Illinois website, because that's one of the reasons why we thought we'd put it both in the Apprenticeship Intermediaries and Navigators, but also under resources, because then a certain set of courses could be open to the public to take.
And you are correct, Jen Phillips. We would encourage that. We kind of, as I said, we kind of want to be the test ship on this. And, we want people to know, we want all, especially DCEO staff, to be as well versed as they have the capacity and time to be on, what apprenticeship programs are out there, what they look like. And this is a chance to, this is going to be videotaped, as well as have resources in writing. So there will be a variety of presentations on this, and everybody learns differently. Some people like the videotapes better. Some people like to be able to print something out and take it with them. So I think those resources will be on here, and yes, we definitely want to be the test ship on this. and what you guys like, we can continue to build out or add to. We will be open to feedback on it, and again, encourage everyone to take a look at what gets built here.
Will there be communication going out to like DCEO staff about this, or is this something that like Brian and I could and John could introduce to our staff? You know,
I think once it's up and going, Annie, yes. You know,
Okay.
once it's fully like in place, then I think it makes sense. Then we would open it up to all staff and have like Patrick or Jen at all staff meeting talk about it.
great.
And then for your folks, I think I would specifically set a time to really talk to them about it and, kind of say, this week we'd really like you to do it, kind of thing. That way, you're guiding it a little bit more than just sort of leaving it open-ended.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Annie, this is Jennifer. Jen, like as administrators, we can actually also give you the data on we can send you the snapshot of like which ones your staff have completed. Okay, so let me go back to that completion. We can send you the information in a CSV file of like who's finished what.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
If you assigned it with like a 2 or 3 week turnaround or something, like please do this in the next 2 weeks, we can send you like the completion rates.
Great.
Annie, I know you're kind of smiling because several years back, you and I had talked about people shouldn't go out and do rapid response presentations to employers until they have, a certain amount of information and a certain amount of understanding. And we had talked years ago about, certifying and as a rapid response specialist and things like that. And it's really cool that this has kind of brought that to the forefront, maybe a little quicker than we anticipated because of the need. But I know we've talked about this for years.
Yeah, this is terrific.
Okay, anything else?
Nope, not for me.
And if I'm not mistaken, Jen Foyle, you just sent all the documents out to everybody, right?
I did, yes.
And I guess my only caveat would be these are all very much like in continuous improvement. So please don't consider them the end all, like this. They're not static right now. We're continuously upgrading and adding.
Yeah, and we wanted to thank you all for your kind of attention and feedback, and we would welcome any additional feedback as well if you have any thoughts or anything. But we wanted to make sure that, I had talked with Julio and we got it out to the managers and to get their thoughts on this and to see if they had anything else to add to it. So thank you all so much for taking, I know we're all busy. But we're really proud of this and think it's going to have a lot of applicability to a lot of other capacity challenging issues that we have.
Right. All right, you guys did a great job. I'm excited about this moving forward and just and how much it builds on other stuff that we want to do going forward. So thank you all for sort of launching this piece of this. And Jennifer Phillips and Foyle and you guys for and Patrick for leading this. So, and you too, Amy. All right. If there's nothing else,
Thank you.
I guess we're going.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.